This is News 8 Now, this morning.
This is really very likely to change all of those numbers and definitely to push for a groundwater standard, which the state of Wisconsin has never had.
So the money's pouring in from national liberal and left-wing groups for Janet Protasiewicz because they want to flip the court. It's that simple. Why we're getting so much attention from National Democrat group.
Tribal members are both U.S. citizens and members of their own sovereign nation. We cherish tradition. We take pride in our tribal nations, and we love our country.
Good morning. That was your eye-opener featuring some of the stories we'll be covering today. Thank you for watching News 8 Now. I'm Sophia Pullman.
And I'm Derek Sibley.
It is Wednesday, March 15th. We have to get through a little rain and chilliness, but then I'm seeing some sun graphics.
Yeah, and you know, we have to get through that rain tomorrow. I mean, today is going to be more a quiet day like yesterday, but the only exception is we're not going to have a lot of sun. You know, we had a lot of sunshine yesterday. We were spoiled with that, but we have a developing storm system to our west. That's going to be increasing the clouds today, so therefore kind of limiting that sunshine for us to work with, unfortunately. So let's get to those details, and right now we are talking about temperatures that are currently into the 20s for those of you listening from Eau Claire this morning. As a matter of fact, you're currently sitting at 24 degrees, while the rest of us are mainly into the 30s across much of the Coulee region, as you can see there behind me. In fact, La Crosse, you're currently sitting at 31. Winona, you're sitting at 32 degrees. Other locations this morning, like Viroqua at 27, Sparta's at 29, Prairie du Chien, Boscobel, Decorah, all into the low 30s this morning across our far south communities. Mostly clear skies on the satellite and radar picture. Don't get quite used to that because we are expecting clouds to increase here starting late morning and then continue through the rest of the day today with temperatures into the low to mid 40s. We'll talk more about this in the full weather forecast. I'll let you know when that rain will be moving through and maybe even at times could even transition or mix with some snow here later this week. I'll talk about all of that in just a few minutes. Sophia?
Thanks, Derek. Let's get to some news this morning. The deadline to register by mail or online ends today. All voters must provide a proof of residence when registering for the April 4th spring election. Today, Houska Park in the city of La Crosse is closing and is evicting anyone who is still living there. A month ago, the city posted eviction notices at the park with warnings that all property will be removed from the area. Any non-hazardous property will be stored for 30 days for people to claim, but after that, it will be thrown out. The park was a temporary campground for the unsheltered until it officially closed in October. People are still living at the park. The city wants to clean and restore the area. City officials say they don't expect to relicense it again as a campground. For the first time, the Environmental Protection Agency has proposed federal limits on forever chemicals known as PFAS. News 8 Now's Dua Ishrar spoke to Supervisor Lee Donahue about what this means for communities like the town of Campbell.
It's something we've been waiting for a long time.
In the state of Wisconsin, dozens of counties don't have the option of doing something as simple as drinking water from the faucet.
Our legislators need to acknowledge how toxic PFAS is.
The man-made forever chemical is found in everyday items.
Get these products out of food packaging, out of children's toys, out of clothing whenever possible, out of firefighting foam whenever possible.
In the town of Campbell, you only have to turn on the tap to come in contact with the cancer-causing chemicals. The Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources standard for PFAS is 70 parts per trillion, or 70 drops of water in an Olympic-sized pool. The Environmental Protection Agency recommended that advisory in 2016.
70 part per trillion is so outdated.
Now, for the first time, the EPA is proposing a federal limit on PFAS and PFOA. Supervisor 2 Lee Donahue says this could change the state DNR's approach to forever chemicals.
This is really very likely to change all of those numbers and definitely to push for a groundwater standard, which the state of Wisconsin has never had.
If the federal limit goes into effect, states like Wisconsin will have to change their standard from 70 parts per trillion to 4 parts per trillion.
How important it is that we minimize our exposure to these compounds.
While the town of Campbell residents can't turn on their tap, for other places, Donahue says this proposal is a step towards prevention.
It's exciting to know other communities may be protected, much better protected than they have been in the past.
Reporting in the town of Campbell, Dua Esrar, News 8 Now.
The EPA will take public comment for the next 60 days, but if there are no hurdles, then the federal limit may go into effect by the end of the year. The Wisconsin DNR says once the EPA's federal limit is in effect, the DNR will match the state standards with the EPA. Political officials and Native American Wisconsinites went to the Capitol for the State of the Tribes address. The speech was given by Robert Van Zyl, chairman of the Sokogan Chippewa Community. Partnerships between natives and federal and state officials was a common topic of the address. Van Zyl suggested more federal involvement in Indian health services may solve issues of medical barriers. He shared this message about the Native community.
Tribal members are both U.S. citizens and members of their own sovereign nation. We cherish tradition. We take pride in our tribal nations, and we love our country.
Speaker of the State Assembly Robin Vos appointed Van Zyl as the event's speaker. The Wisconsin Supreme Court race is now the most expensive in U.S. history. As of last week, candidates spent over $20 million on TV and radio ads. A majority of the funds came from Janet Protasiewicz, who spent $8 million on television ads alone. A large portion of the money spent is from outside groups, including Fair Courts America and A Better Wisconsin, which were active in the primary.
So the money's pouring in from national liberal and left-wing groups for Janet Protasiewicz because they want to flip the court. It's that simple. Why we're getting so much attention from national Democrat groups.
Close to $3 million has been spent by those outside groups, and right now, most of that spending has been for things like ads opposing one of the candidates. Wisconsin Assembly Republicans have voted to pass a bill that would stop a state licensing board from banning conversion therapy. Conversion therapy is the practice of therapists and others trying to change a person's sexual orientation or gender identity. The state board had banned it, but a GOP-controlled community in January voted to allow therapists, social workers, and counselors to do it. Conversion therapy for minors has been banned in over a dozen Wisconsin cities, including La Crosse. Governor Evers will likely veto it. The Assembly also passed a bill that would require high-crime schools to hire police officers in school buildings. The Republican-backed bill says if a school has more than 100 incidents in a semester and at least 25 of them result in arrest, the school has to hire an armed school resource officer, or SRO. Another bill that passed calls for schools to collect and report info on crimes on school grounds. The legislature passed it last session, but Governor Evers vetoed it. Monday night, Wausau School Board and several law enforcement met to discuss student safety. Hannah Borchert has the details.
When students feel safe, they're able to learn.
Wausau East senior Savannah Spees can attest to that.
School safety is a big priority. When students don't feel safe at school, I can say there's a negative impact on their mental health and emotional health.
Wausau School District understands that safety is comprehensive. It requires having many layers of support.
That's why the Wausau School District, Wausau Police Department, and Attorney General Josh Kaul met Monday to discuss the potential growth of the Office of School Safety. Kaul says more than $2 million is being proposed for the next state budget. It includes 16 full-time positions, in part to manage the 24-hour tip line, Speak Up, Speak Out.
Speak Up, Speak Out is really useful for students who maybe don't have someone they can talk to at school.
The proposal would also continue to assist with statewide mandatory training for crisis situations.
Our reactive responses and proactive efforts in crisis intervention, threat assessment, and threat response are much more efficient, timely, and effective because the office has brought about regular training statewide that brings school staff and law enforcement together to learn and train together.
Building bonds between school staff, law enforcement, OSS, and students is key.
It's often students who first become aware of potential threats of violence or other issues.
We feel very fortunate that we have excellent relationships with our Wausau Police Department, our Wausau Fire Departments, and all of our municipal emergency responders. That relationship really makes us a safer school.
Our hope is that the legislature will see the value that the Office of School Safety has provided and invest in that office so that it can continue to do the vital work that it does to keep kids in Wisconsin safe.
Still ahead on your morning news, the FAA announces a sudden airline safety summit as 2 planes barely avoid collision on Tuesday. We'll explain. And why many automakers received a failing grade for backseat safety for their passengers. That and more coming up this morning. For now, we're sending you to break with something to put the good in your morning. Vinyl records could be making a big comeback. The Recording Industry Association of America says for the first time in more than 3 decades, vinyl records outsold CDs. They say just over 41 million vinyl albums were sold last year. Vinyl record sales have been growing for 16 years straight, and record companies are increasingly responding to the revival by releasing special edition albums. Don't go anywhere. Your consumer news at News 8 Now this morning after the break.
Well, welcome back. We are looking at mainly clear skies here this morning with temperatures mainly into the 20s and 30s. And you can see here behind me, that's exactly what we're dealing with. The further north you go, more than likely you will feel those 20s. Further south, we are looking at the low 30s though. Now for your zone forecast today, La Crosse County, we will be looking at high temperatures into the mid to upper 40s. So much warmer this afternoon in areas like La Crosse, reaching a high of around 47. Meanwhile, our extreme southern communities looking at highs into the mid to upper 40s. More so the mid-40s across our central zones, with Sparta today looking at highs around 47, and the Chippewa Valley low to mid-40s can be set here, with 44 degrees expected here in Eau Claire. Cloudy skies as we head into the afternoon for the dog walking conditions, and we will continue to remain cloudy as we head into this evening as well. As far as your schoolcast goes, we are going to be looking at mostly clear skies, temperatures at around 31 degrees, and then on the way back home during the afternoon, we'll be looking at mainly cloudy skies, temperatures at around 45 degrees. Now coming up in just a little bit, we'll still have a check on that full weather forecast still to come, and we'll time out the details as far as the rain, snow, the amounts, and things like that coming up in just a bit.
In your consumer news this morning, today the Federal Aviation Administration is holding an airline safety summit prompted by a string of close calls at U.S. airports. The 7th incident taking place on Tuesday at Washington's Reagan National Airport last week. Tyson's Foods has announced it will close its poultry plant in Glen Allen, Virginia. The company's decision will impact nearly 700 jobs. In a statement, Tyson said it will be closing the plant to shift demand to other food facilities and will be working with team members to relocate to other plants within the company. The representing union says Tyson Foods did not give them advanced warning about the plant closure. In Silicon Valley, Facebook's parent company Meta has announced a new wave of layoffs. CEO Mark Zuckerberg says the company is cutting 10,000 jobs in recruiting and tech through May and will not fill another 5,000 open positions. The social media giant previously cut 11,000 jobs last year during a decrease in online advertising. Larger midsize SUVs may look sturdy and strong, but experts are showing that may not always be the case. Safety experts are putting midsize SUVs to the test to see how those vehicles protect passengers in the back seat. Christian Benavidez shows us which ones are more reliable than others.
The Insurance Institute for Highway Safety sent 13 midsize SUVs crashing into a barrier at 40 miles per hour. All of them received good marks for protecting the driver in the front seat, but that changed when analysts looked at the back seat. Of the 13 vehicles tested, only 4 models earned good ratings for protecting rear passengers.
That's more or less what we expected.
Raul Arbeláez is vice president of the Vehicle Research Center at IIHS and says the team anticipated those results because this is the first time they've analyzed backseat safety in this class.
We added this test because we have seen both in real-world data and in our crash tests that protection really could be improved in the rear seat.
According to the IIHS, the risk for fatal injury is 46% higher for people in the back of the vehicle.
It's not that the backseat has gotten more dangerous, but restraint technologies have improved in the front.
What is the difference between the protection for the driver than it is for the rear passenger?
One of the things we've seen for many years is protection getting better and better for front seat occupants. We've seen airbags and better seatbelts and improved structure.
He says the safety technology is available to improve the back seat.
With advanced seatbelts and better placement of, say, the anchor points of those seatbelts, we believe that safety really will reach levels that we see in the front seat.
The IIHS expects the auto industry to make those changes in future vehicles.
While improvements have been made in the front seats, car manufacturers intend to add those improvements to the back seat to improve safety. That is it for your morning consumer news. Let's check in with Derek and today's forecast.
All right, thanks so much for that, Sophia. Sure is a mostly clear start here this morning, but that's going to quickly change, though, as we are expecting increasing cloud cover to limit the sunshine. So unfortunately, don't get used to what happened yesterday, because that's not going to be the case anytime soon. 31 degrees currently in La Crosse, with temperatures at 24 degrees now in Eau Claire. Visibility's here, both of these locations at 10 miles, so good driving conditions. As you mentioned, looking at mainly clear skies, but you can see the clouds just off to the west beginning to move in here, and that's associated with a storm system positioned to our west. Remember that high pressure system yesterday that gave us the sunny weather? Well, it's actually just positioned to our east, and we're still kind of underneath the influence of the system, especially to the west, because we got that south wind, and that's important today because that's going to warm up our temperatures here quite a bit. Now, just to the west of the high pressure is low pressure, and this is our developing storm system that's going to be bringing us rain and snow here tomorrow through Friday, and we'll get to that in a second. But for today, I do want to show you the forecast quickly. Mainly cloudy skies with temperatures well into the 40s throughout the day. So that south wind's going to help warm us up, giving us those temperatures well into the mid to upper 40s here today. Notice the clouds increasing from the west as that developing storm system continues to inch its way further towards the east. And we're going to see a developing cold front here as well associated with the storm system as it continues to move in our general direction. The cloudy skies will linger as we head into early tomorrow morning. And here comes the moisture associated with this storm system, producing some scattered showers here by late tomorrow morning, around 11 o'clock or so. And then by 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, it becomes even more widely scattered here with rain showers. And then as early as 5 p.m., we could even see our western community start to tap into some of the snow showers. And that snow is going to move its way towards the east as that storm continues to move towards the east as well. And I do expect many spots to be looking at some snow showers by tomorrow night into early tomorrow morning. Now by 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, I do expect a lot of this to exit the area. We will be looking at some leftover cloud cover along with some cooler temperatures in its wake. So rain tracker is showing that we will be looking at rainfall totals nearing that half-inch mark or just over a half an inch or so. Locally higher totals also possible. Snow tracker showing anywhere between around 1 to 2 inches, mainly focused to the west, while the rest of us are just going to be looking at around a trace of snow or so. Here's a check on your 8-day forecast, and as you can see, we do have very good rain chances for tomorrow. Slight chance of snow here for Friday and Saturday, and mostly sunny for Sunday and Monday. The high temperatures early to mid next week, Tuesday and Wednesday, will be warming up into the upper 40s potentially. Stay with us. We're back with much more news and weather, and that's still to come on News 8 Now this morning. We're taking a quick break with a look at what happened on this day in history for March 15th. We'll be right back.
Welcome to the Blitz. We are just one day away from the boys state basketball tournament over in Madison, where 5 of our area teams will be going for a gold ball, including the Royal Panthers. They're making the trip for just the second time in school history. The Panthers finished the regular season 17-7, but have won 5 straight games in the playoffs. Head coach Scott Uppena said the state tournament was a goal this squad has had since the season tipped off back in November. After putting together a solid postseason run, the Panthers met their goal with the win over Wazeeka Steuben last Saturday. And since then, Coach Uppena said the support has been through the roof. Community members and businesses reaching out to see if the team needs anything. Nonstop text messages filled with support, even a school makeover. Now, there's still a lot of work that needs to be done, but making the state tournament is a memory that will stick with the players forever.
I remember when I was a kid watching, I went to like all the state games when I was little. And I remember looking down there and I told myself, I was like, I want to be there someday. So I just want to look up at the crowd and hopefully make some kid's day thinking, I want to be like this kid. So
these kids deserved it. They worked their tails off, and I'm just glad and proud to be able to be a part of that.
Now, the Uppena family has Wisconsin high school basketball in its blood. Scott has 3 brothers that all coached at different schools in southwest Wisconsin, and his dad coached at Cassville for 37 years. He said there won't be any bragging at family dinner, but it's definitely something his family will cherish for a long time. Panthers clash with Newman Catholic on Friday morning. On the girls' side, the awards keep coming in, this time in Division III. 2 of our area athletes making the all-state team. West Salem sophomore Megan Johnson gets the nod. She led her Panthers all the way to the state semifinals this season. She still has 2 more chances left in her high school career. How about Prairie du Chine's Ashlyn Knapp? The senior led the Blackhawks to a 22-5 record and a sectional final appearance. The UW-Oshkosh commit helped PDC to a 63-10 record during her 3-year varsity career. Badgers tipping off the NIT last night in Madison. Wisconsin playing host to Bradley. Pick it up first half. Badgers up 6. The Central grad Jordan Davis stopping on a dime, getting one to fall. Wisconsin up just 5 though at the break. Second half, the home team starts pulling away. Stephen Crowell throwing it down. Badgers back up by 7. Then later in the half, check out this find from Carter Gilmore. Nice pass to a cutting Max Klesmit for the deuce. All Badgers in the first round. They win it 81-62. How about the former Badger having a breakout performance last night in D.C.? Lacrosse native Johnny Davis getting some playing time for the Wizards, and the rookie making the most of it, doing it on both ends of the floor. Just his 15th game in the league. Davis puts in a new career high, 11 points on the night in just 18 minutes of action. Johnny started 4 of 4 from the field, finished 5 of 11 from the floor. Most importantly, his squad gets the win, 117-97 the final over Detroit. That's going to do it for the Blitz. We'll see you tonight.
Breaking overnight, a federal judge in Texas is holding a hearing today on medication abortion. Anti-abortion supporters sued the FDA over medication used in that process. The lawsuit is seeking to order the FDA to drop its approval of the drug. Advocates in favor of the medication say if the judge sides with the plaintiffs, it would eliminate the most common method of abortion care. President Biden is focusing on gun violence. On Tuesday, the president met with victims of the mass shooting that took place in Monterey Park, California, where he announced a new executive action on background checks. The order will increase background checks by clarifying and enforcing which gun sellers need to do them. Although it's a small step in the right direction, Biden hopes to promote universal background checks in a Republican-led House. Michigan's letter grade for school districts could be going away. Lawmakers are considering on getting rid of the A through F system because it doesn't meet federal standards. Schools say the A through F system oversimplifies what schools are doing, but supports of the system say it's easier to understand. The State Department of Education says it finds more low-performing schools using the Michigan Accountability Index than the A through F system. School breakfasts and lunches will now be free to Minnesota students, regardless of their family's income. This comes after the state Senate approved of the bill on Tuesday. The state will pick up the difference between federal repayments and the actual costs. The program is estimated to cost the state about $400 million in a 2-year budget period to make sure no kid falls through the cracks.
Besides the healthy meals and giving money back to families, feeding kids at school is the right thing to do.
Being hungry makes learning almost impossible. There is no worksheet or assignment, test, or project that will matter to a student who hasn't had anything to eat.
In order to qualify, all schools would need to enroll in the federal free and reduced price lunch program. Governor Tim Walz is expected to sign it, and it could be in place in time for summer school this July. In Minnesota, more than 24 cities already ban or restrict the sales of flavored tobacco products. Experts estimate nearly 1 in 5 Minnesota high schoolers use e-cigarettes, and advocates are concerned that some of those flavors specifically target kids. Dozens of students and supporters marched to the Capitol in support of banning flavored tobacco products. Legislation at the Capitol would prohibit sales of flavored cigars, e-cigs, and menthol cigarettes.
There are so many flavored tobacco products that I've seen used in high schools. One of them being flavors such as Cinnamon Toast Crunch. You know, who can resist that? You know, I think it should be prohibited to increase the safety of our youth.
Students are encouraging lawmakers to pass the legislation to support better health outcomes for their generation. One student says she has had enough with how much flavored tobacco products have affected her generation.
And it's just really scary to see how it is impacting us. And I just want to emphasize to lawmakers that they have the power to do something. So since they have been elected, they should do something with the power that they have to protect our youth and to protect the people in our state.
So far, the bill to ban the sales of these flavored products has only had a hearing in the Senate. If it passes, Minnesota would join a few other states that have taken this step. Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley has signed a bill releasing $11 million in funding for more than a dozen projects to combat the opioid epidemic. In 2023, the county board approved of assigning opioid settlement funds to support 15 projects, including supplies, education, and treatment. On Monday, health officials unveiled the first of dozens of harm reduction vending machines in Milwaukee County.
These harm reduction vending machines are a new and novel means to distribute the essentials of harm reduction. The naloxone nasal spray, an instant reversal agent for opioid overdoses. And fentanyl test strips to warn users if the drug they're about to take may be stronger than they anticipate, allowing them to adjust their behavior.
Officials say Milwaukee County has among the highest rates of overdose deaths in Wisconsin and has seen record numbers of emergency calls related to overdoses in the last 2 years. Protesters were not allowed to speak publicly at a Wisconsin school board about racist behavior at a recent basketball game. Although silenced, parents and supporters from both teams stood together. Caroline Rainwald has the details.
After standing silently for the better part of an hour, families made their wants known at a Muskego Norway School District Board meeting.
What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now!
They're protesting racist behavior seen at a varsity boys basketball game on March 3rd.
We might have lost, but look at the kind of stuff they got on their locker room.
Beloit players finding racial slurs and swastikas drawn in the dust on Muskego's guest locker room. Coaches and parents also telling 12 News they saw some Muskego students dressing and acting racist towards Beloit players.
Chants that were said and the noises that were made to imply that one of the students on the team was a monkey.
We have so many seniors on the team. My son is a senior as well, and that's the last time that they are playing a high school game, and they had to deal with that.
Those same parents on Monday surprised to see Muskego families standing with them in solidarity.
I have to be honest, at first I thought, it would just be people would just kick it under the rug, but we have so much love and support coming from some of the people in Muskego, and they didn't want this whole community to be painted the way some folks painted it at the game.
I think the district response has been weak. I want an actual condemnation of racist behavior in all forms. I think it's pretty simple. to say we condemn racism in all forms, and I haven't seen it yet.
At Monday's meeting, board members ignoring their cries as police blocked reporters and protesters from approaching. A group of protesters denied any opportunity to speak to the board either one-on-one or publicly at the podium.
If consequences were going to be swift, they would have been done already. I think there's enough physical evidence, video evidence, that there's no need for a long, drawn-out investigation.
An investigation is underway in collaboration with Beloit School administrators and the Muskego Police Department. There's no word yet on what that investigation will be complete.
Well, it turns a mostly clear start here this morning in La Crosse. Current temperatures are at 31 degrees, and we are looking at feel-like temperatures at 23 for our wind chill when you factor in our 9-mile-per-hour winds that we're seeing out of the south-southeast. We are looking at mostly cloudy skies by around 9 o'clock, though, and then things will turn completely cloudy by this afternoon with temperatures into the 40s. And in fact, our high today should reach around 47 degrees, which is pretty seasonable, though, for this time of year. South winds 10 to 20, really helping to bump up those temperatures quite a bit here today. Now for tonight, we drop down to 37 with those cloudy skies still lingering. A few scattered showers are possible with south winds still at 10 to 15 miles an hour. For the drivecast, we go looking at partly cloudy here for that morning commute. By the mid-hour commute, looking at cloudy skies for the lunch, and then as we head into this evening, we're going to be looking at the cloudy weather conditions as we head towards that evening commute hour more than likely, but no rain here today. That's more than likely going to change, though, especially into tomorrow, maybe even some snow, which we'll talk about coming up in a last look at your weather forecast after the break. But coming up in our Buzz Report, one customer says they have a bone to pick with a major restaurant chain. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Well, this morning we are waking up to a few clouds out there from City Cam 8 behind me, with current temperatures in La Crosse at 31 degrees. Visibility looking nice and clear for the drive hour at around 10 miles. Our Mississippi River stage is at 5.20 feet. Now, current conditions to the north in Eau Claire are much colder. We're talking about 24 degrees being our temperature, with a feel like of 16 degrees thanks to that wind chill. South-southeast winds at around 7 miles an hour being responsible for that. We're looking at mostly clear skies right now across much of the local area. A few clouds are developing to our west and moving in, as you can see. That's all thanks to a storm system moving our way. But high pressure here was keeping us quiet yesterday, giving us lots of sunshine to work with. And we're on the western extent of the system right now, so we're getting that southerly wind profile. That's going to bump up the temperatures quite a bit here today. Now back to the west, this is our next storm system that we are tracking very carefully, because we will be talking about some rain, maybe even some snow with this system here to work with. But as of today, though, we're looking at mainly cloudy skies out ahead of the storm system, with temperatures mainly into the 40s today. But let's time out this storm, though, as it continues to move closer towards the area, and you can see those clouds will continue to increase here in response to that system moving in our general direction. It will continue to remain cloudy here throughout the day, and also as we head into tonight, you'll see a developing cold front here just off to the west associated with this trough of low pressure moving our way, and that cloud cover will continue here, it looks like, as we head into the early tomorrow morning commute as well. By 11 o'clock tomorrow morning, we start to see some scattered shower activity pop up as the system inches closer, and by 2 o'clock I expect more widely scattered rain showers to develop, and the snow is not too far away off to the west, and that snow is actually going to be moving in our general direction here as early as tomorrow afternoon. By 5 p.m. everybody's going to be dealing with rain, while our western communities more than likely start to tap into some of that snow. And then by 8 o'clock tomorrow evening, I expect a combination of both rain and snow for much of the Coulee region, and a lot of us will be dealing with that snow changeover as we head into tomorrow night and maybe even lasting into early tomorrow morning, with a few flurries possible. Otherwise, looking at mainly cloudy skies as we head into Friday morning. So rain tracker showing around a ½ inch here of rainfall, with locally higher totals also possible. Meanwhile, snow tracker showing anywhere between around 1 to 2 inches here, with locally higher totals also possible, mainly focused to the west, while the rest of us are looking at mainly around a trace of snow, if not less than that here. So 8-day forecast showing that we will be looking at good chances of rain for tomorrow. Again, slight chance of snow lingering into Friday and maybe even into Saturday. We will be looking at mostly sunny skies for Sunday and Monday. Look at the highs next week. Tuesday and Wednesday, we're going to jump up into the upper 40s, low 50s perhaps as well. Meanwhile, those low temperatures mainly into the 20s and low 30s.
In our Buzz Report today, could this next movie be Quentin Tarantino's final film? According to The Hollywood Reporter, the creator of films such as Pulp Fiction and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood has written and is preparing to direct The Movie Critic. Set in late 70s LA, Tarantino has long said he'd only direct 10 films or retire before he turns 60. The Movie Critic would be his 10th movie, and he turns 60 on March 27th. The next Men's World Cup will be played in 3 different countries, including the United States, and there's a big format change coming to the event. There will now be 12 groups of 4 teams instead of 16 groups of 3. FIFA says it's an effort to ensure that all the teams play a minimum of 3 matches while giving enough time to rest. The top 2 teams from each group and the 8 best third-place teams will advance to the round of 32. A Chicago man says he has a bone to pick with Buffalo Wild Wings. He's suing the chain because what it calls boneless wings actually contain breast meat. In a tweet, the company notes that they don't contain buffalo either, but the plaintiff doesn't seem to be laughing. His lawsuit says the products are more like chicken nuggets and claims calling them wings is a lie. His attorney is seeking other potential clients who feel the same.
Gosh, that just goes back to what we were saying last hour. How do people have time for this, right?
I don't know,
I guess people really take their chicken seriously, so.
I know, it makes me want some wings right now.
I know, it makes me hungry. Look at that picture. Gosh, even early this morning. That's like our lunch hour right now.
Thanks, Derek. Before we head to break, it's time to look at today's Look Who's 8.
All right, we want to start off with Nicholas today. He's turning 8 months. Now, Nicholas loves to smile and play with his 2 dogs.
Happy 8th birthday to 8 months to April. April loves to laugh with her siblings.
Happy 8 months to Willis as well. Now, Willis is a happy baby who loves to play with his older brother.
If you know a special someone turning 8 months, 8 years, 18, 80, or 88 years old soon, we'd love to feature them.
Just upload their photo to our website, news8000.com, and look for that Submit Pictures button under the Home tab on our website.
Stay with us. We have everything you need to know today in 5 minutes or less. Your Morning News Now is up next. Time for your morning news now. More than 24 cities already ban or restrict the sales of flavored tobacco products. Experts estimate nearly 1 in 5 Minnesota high schoolers use e-cigarettes, and advocates are concerned that some of those flavors specifically target kids. Dozens of students and supporters marched to the Capitol in support of banning flavored tobacco products. One student says she has had enough with how much flavored tobacco products have affected her generation.
And it's just really scary to see how it is impacting us. And I just want to emphasize to lawmakers that they have the power to do something. So since they have been elected, they should do something with the power that they have to protect our youth and to protect the people in our state.
So far, the bill to prohibit the sales of these flavored products has only had a hearing in the Senate. If it passes, Minnesota would join a few other states that have already taken this step. School breakfasts and lunches will now be free to Minnesota students regardless of their family's income. This comes after the state Senate approved of a bill on Tuesday. The state will pick up the difference between federal repayments and the actual costs. The program is estimated to cost the state about $400 million in a 2-year budget period. The Assembly also passed a bill that would require high-crime schools to hire police officers in school buildings. The Republican-backed bill says if a school has more than 100 incidents in a semester and at least 25 of them result in arrest, the school has to hire an armed school resource officer, or SRO. Another bill that passed calls for schools to collect and report info on crimes on school grounds. The legislature passed it last session, but Governor Evers vetoed. Political officials and Native American Wisconsinites went to the Capitol for the State of the Tribes address. The speech was given by Robert Van Zyl, chairman of the Sokogan Chippewa community. Partnerships between natives and federal and state officials was a common topic of the address. Van Zyl suggested more federal involvement in Indian health services may solve issues of medical barriers. He shared this message about the Native community.
Tribal members are both U.S. citizens and members of their own sovereign nation. We cherish tradition. We take pride in our tribal nations, and we love our country.
Speaker of the State Assembly Robin Vos appointed Van Zyl as the event's speaker. Wisconsin Assembly Republicans have voted to pass a bill that would stop a state licensing board from banning conversion therapy. Conversion therapy is the practice of therapists and others trying to change a person's sexual orientation or gender identity. The state board had banned it, but a GOP-controlled committee in January voted to allow therapists, social workers, and counselors to do it. Conversion therapy for minors has been banned in over a dozen Wisconsin cities, including La Crosse. Today, Huska Park in the city of La Crosse is closing and is evicting anyone who is still living there. The city posted eviction notices with warnings that all property will be removed from the area. Any non-hazardous property will be stored for 30 days for people to claim, but after that, it will be thrown out. The park was a temporary campground for the unsheltered until it officially closed in October. People are still living at the park. The city wants to clean and restore the area. City officials say they don't expect to relicense it again as a campground.
And as you head out the door this morning, we are talking about only a few clouds, but those clouds are only going to increase, though, throughout the day, making it completely overcast and high temperatures warming up into the 40s. But overall, pretty seasonable day today as far as temperatures go. Just not really a whole lot of sunshine to work with and a southerly breeze here as well. 8-day forecast showing that as we head into the day tomorrow, it's going to be very wet out there. Good chances of rain pretty much all day long, starting in the afternoon. And slight chances of snow here for Friday, possibly lingering into Saturday. The good news is after that, we'll see a lot more sun for Sunday and Monday, and then the clouds return Tuesday and Wednesday.
Those sun graphics, keep saying it.
Yep.
Hopefully everyone has a good St. Patrick's Day too on Friday with the weather.
And stay dry too.
Thanks, Derek. Yeah. And thank you for watching News 8 Now. Don't forget to keep up with the news of the day on news8000.com. We will have the latest updates to today's top stories on News 8 Now at noon. Have a great day. Thank you for watching News 8, and we will catch y'all later.